How do I validate JSON? If you have ever wondered how to ensure your JSON data is correct and usable, you are in the right place. Validating JSON is essential in software development, especially when working with event-driven architecture. So, how do you go about it? First, let's understand what validating JSON means. It involves checking if your JSON data is formatted correctly and follows specific rules. This process guarantees that the data is accurate and can be used effectively by software systems. In event-driven architecture, JSON is often the format used to exchange data between services. The simplest way to validate JSON is through syntax validation. This checks if your JSON follows the proper format, including the correct use of braces, brackets, commas, quotes, and data types. You can use many online tools or built-in parsers in programming languages to perform this check. However, if you want to go a step further, you can use schema-based validation. This involves checking your JSON data against a predefined schema. A JSON schema is a formal specification that outlines the expected structure, data types, required fields, and allowed values for your JSON data. This is particularly important for ensuring that your JSON meets the needs of your application. So, how do you use JSON schema for validation? Think of it as a blueprint for your JSON data. It describes the types of data expected, such as strings, numbers, objects, arrays, booleans, or null values. It also specifies required properties, constraints like minimum or maximum values, and even nested structures. To validate JSON using JSON schema, follow these steps. First, create or obtain a JSON schema that describes the structure and rules your JSON data should follow. This schema can be custom-made or based on existing standards relevant to your field. Next, choose a validation tool or library that fits your programming environment. For example, if you are using JavaScript, you might consider adj or Zod. For Python, options include JSON Schema or FastJSON Schema. If you are working with Java, look into JSON Schema Validator or Everett. Once you have your schema and JSON data ready, load them into your program. After that, run the validation using your chosen tool. The validator will check if your JSON data complies with the schema. It will return a result indicating whether the data is valid and often provide detailed error messages if it is not. Interpreting the validation results is the next step. If your JSON data is valid, it matches the expected structure and rules. If it is invalid, you will need to review the error messages to identify issues like missing required fields or type mismatches. Remember, validation is not a one-time task. As your application evolves, you will need to update your schema and validate new data accordingly. This ongoing process is especially important in event-driven architecture, where JSON messages representing events passed between services. Validating these JSON messages ensures that they have the correct format and data types before processing. This means that consumers of events can rely on consistent data structures, and errors can be caught early, preventing faulty data from causing issues down the line. In summary, to validate JSON effectively, start with syntax validation to ensure proper formatting. Use JSON schema to define expected data structures and constraints. Employ appropriate validation tools to automate the checking process. Analyze validation feedback to fix any data issues, and incorporate validation into your development workflow. This approach aligns with modern software development practices and supports data quality in distributed systems.